Hello, and welcome to the Connoisseur, where self-proclaimed experts spread our knowledge to the masses. Today we're going to review a movie. The movie is called Underworld Blood Wars, starring Kate Beckinsale and Theo James. It is the fifth movie in the franchise. I don't know where to begin with this movie. The franchise started all the way back in 2003 with Underworld. Followed by that, Underworld Evolution. After that, it was Underworld Rise of the Lycans, which was a prequel. And following that was Underworld Awakening. So, like I said, this is the fifth film in the franchise. It's been a long time coming. This kind of looks like the end. The biggest problem with this movie is nothing is left from the original movie. Yes, there's still Selene and tight leather and guns. There is still vampires and werewolves. But the things that made the first Underworld work, they're all gone. The things that made the second Underworld work are all gone. What's still around is the great lore they've built up. Underworld, there's somebody behind the scenes who really cares about this story. That keeps putting together this really interesting lore. And the mythology is so good, you almost wish you were watching that while you're watching the movie that's currently on. What I mean by everything is gone is Michael is gone. Michael, the hybrid vampire, vampire werewolf, still part human character, he's nowhere to be found. And it kind of begs the question why this character was so important in the first place. That's another one of the issues that this movie has. Everything that's built up doesn't seem to matter anymore. It even contradicts its own mythology and rules. We'll get to more of that later. In the first Underworld, there was Michael. And there was the fact that the Vampire Coven is what Selene had. That's what she fought for. That's what she lived for. At the end of that movie, she basically abandons the Coven. She's sort of in an exile of sorts. And all she has is Michael. So in the second movie, it's just her and Michael. That's what she has. That's what she has to fight for. In Awakening, she has her daughter. It's still a little bit sketchy because Michael's nowhere to be found. He kind of has like an off-screen death almost. They've almost kind of completely disregarded the Michael character by this point. But she has her daughter to fight for. In this movie, Selene is done. She's finished. There's nothing for her. She almost says as much in the beginning intro. She has no dog in this fight. Yes, the vampires and the Lycans are still fighting, but Selene is checked out. And you can feel that throughout the movie. People track her down to have her help them with their agendas. And Selene goes for it a little bit, but you could feel it in the movie. She doesn't really care. And it's not necessarily Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale is doing her job. The Selene character has nothing going for her anymore. She really just wants to be left alone, and the movie suffers for it. Her indifference gets so bad and so serious at a point where she's fighting and she's, without trying to spoil too much, she's losing the fight. In fact, she's not fighting. There's a point in the fight where she's trying to remember the things she had to fight for. She's trying to remember her vampire coven. She's trying to remember Michael. She's trying to remember her daughter, all to help inspire her, not even to inspire, but to coerce her to fight. This scene done better would have been really interesting, but the way it was done, it just kind of looked clumsy. People didn't really know what was happening because it looked silly. I understood what was going on, and I appreciate what they tried to do with that scene. Trying to show that, again, she has nothing to fight for here. So she tries to bring all the things she had to fight for in her past fresh in her memory so she can basically go hard. And then the final lines of the movie, which I won't spoil here, the final lines of the movie and how Selene has behaved and just been throughout the whole film feels like this movie is telling us to let go. It feels like they're saying Celine has nothing else to fight for. If this franchise dies today, that's perfectly fine. She's ran her course. She has nothing else left to fight for. But it's not a satisfying end, especially to a franchise that has at least 2 good movies. Well, I'd say 3 good movies because Rise of the Lycans is pretty good, and Underworld Awakening, which at least has some good action scenes. This movie has none of that. There's really no good action. The special effects look bad. Yes, Kate Beckinsale still looks good in leather and guns, but aside from that, there's nothing else in this movie for you to really enjoy. There are 2 things in the climactic scene that happen that make you scratch your head. And without spoiling too much, one of the things is these advanced Lycans bring in a weapon, and there's this big buildup. Oh, they're so advanced now. And then they bring in this weapon, and then once you see what the weapon is, you're like, is that thing just shooting rocks?
Lycan!
They have a new leader, Marius.
They're advanced Lycans. They brought in a catapult basically to shoot. How advanced is that, and why is that surprising the vampire? Why is this working? And then there's another scene almost immediately after that where there's 2 characters who are shooting at each other, but Underworld has destroyed the vampire Lycan thing so much that yes, the vampires are shooting silver bullets at them, and yes, the Lycans are shooting ultraviolet rounds at them, but they've destroyed the mythology and the lore so much that these 2 characters are literally going, ah, ah, and they're hitting each other, but it looks like they're missing, so they're standing 10 feet away from each other, and it just looks silly. But they actually are hitting each other, and the bullets just don't work on each other anymore. Okay, so the plot goes like this. Celine is in self-exile. She's kind of banished herself. The vampires are after her because she's sort of like an enemy of the state, the enemy of the vampire state. The Lycans are looking for Celine because they want Celine's daughter, and they believe she's the quickest way to get to her. Now, the Lycans are looking for her because they believe that her blood is the key to becoming ultra-mega Lycans hybrids, and that will enable them to overtake the vampires finally. The funny thing about it is, Celine's daughter's never found, and then they decide to do it anyway, and they do a pretty good job of getting close to wiping out the vampires. It's like, was her daughter's blood really that serious? You guys just went in there, ransacked the place, got in regular old fist fights, and did pretty good. It was just kind of silly. The whole plot is really just a device to string action scenes together in a movie that's not very good, and I'm very disappointed. So in conclusion, I'm extremely disappointed with this movie. I've enjoyed the Underworld series. I think Kate Beckinsale is doing a great job with them. Seems like she's not aging at all. The blue hue is still cool. The guns are still cool. It's just the Celine character really pushes the whole thing forward. And it kind of feels like if they're going to make another movie, it seems like it will be without Celine. Like they might try to do a spin-off. That's what this movie feels like. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to rate the movie a see it, but see it when TNT and FX get their hands on it on cable TV. Don't go to the movies to see this movie. You'll be disappointed, even if you're a fan. So, that's it for my review of Underworld Blood Wars. Please hit the like button, subscribe. We're going to have more reviews for you coming soon. I'm trying to catch as many movies as I can. It's a new channel. It won't, again, like I said before, it won't just be me reviewing movies. I'm also trying to get some reaction, some trailer reaction commentaries, and those type of things. So it's the Connoisseur signing out. Thank you.